Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Pods Moving and Storage Studio. This is the Ramsey Show. It's where America's hanging out to have a conversation about your life and your money. I'm Ken Coleman, joined by George Camel. The phone number to jump in is 888-825-5225. That's 888-825-5225. Let's get right to the phones. Ryan is joining us in Raleigh, North Carolina. Ryan, how can we help?
Hey, first off, how are you doing?
Well, I'm having the time of my life. I'm with George Camel for a better part of my afternoon. It doesn't get much better than that.
I'm sure it doesn't.
He said that in sarcasm.
I'm really
font.
hoping for some career advice.
Okay.
I've been working the debt snowball. I've been doing everything, and it's just been a very long, hard slog of a trek.
Yeah.
I think it's been going on about 10 years since I started my journey.
Oh my. Okay.
And I'm wore out. I've been looking at my life, trying to figure out where I've gone wrong, what I've done, and I realize I've just not had a decent career. I mean, and a decent job even, where it pays enough. I've never made over $40,000 a year.
Okay. Well, let me just start by saying those days are over starting today, because you've got to actually believe, and then beyond belief, you have to then act on that belief. I believe I can make way more than 40,000, and now I'm going to do what it takes to do that. Are you in that mental place? Do you truly believe you can make more than $40,000 a year?
I know I'm worth more than $40,000.
I know you're worth more. There is no value we can put on a human being. I'm saying, do you believe that you can make really, really good money? Yes or no?
Yes.
All right.
Everybody can.
Yeah. All right. Good. So what specifically do you need my help with? Because you're presenting as though you're going, I've never done it. I believe I can do it, but I don't know where to go from here. Is that what we're dealing with? Or we have a good idea of the destination, but not sure how to climb it? What's your best description of where you sit today?
Basically exactly what you said. I don't know where to go. I don't know how to find anything. My work background is basically very eclectic.
All right, forget about that.
I've done
So
everything
you're telling me
from TV to working retail.
Okay. Do you know what you want to do?
Honestly, I
think you do.
I really enjoy repairing arcade games. I mean the coin slot arcade games that you and I probably played in the 90s and 80s.
Yeah, but okay, so let's go deeper. Let's forget the specifics of what you like to repair. What do you enjoy about that idea of repairing old machines?
Honestly, it's getting things working again that weren't working, either right or not.
Good. All right.
I
so what is something
that.
else that you enjoy working on? Give me something else. Whether you've done it or not for a paycheck, I don't care. What would you look forward to tomorrow? If I set up an 8-hour day, and I'm not going to let you say old arcade and video games, so we've already thrown that out. Thrown that one out. Give me something else you'd enjoy doing all day tomorrow. If I said, here are the tools, you've got the know-how, fix this all day long, what would you be fixing?
You've
already thought of it. You've already thought of it, so say
it. Cars sometimes. I have an electric truck I've been working on for a little bit.
So let's just say cars and machines. If you could do that all day long tomorrow and do it in an environment where you were appreciated and you were rewarded, would you jump into that or would you think twice about it? Jump or think twice? What would you do?
Honestly, I'd be on the fence because I've.
Why would you be on the fence?
I've had things start off as valued and appreciated, and then all of a sudden they
but you changed the question on me. So Ryan, you're an overthinker, aren't you?
Yeah.
Big time. The whole audience can hear it, and I'm not knocking you. I'm trying to wake you up from it. I gave you a question. I'm going to ask it again, and you're not allowed to think your way through the question and change anything. Answer it as I ask it. If I gave you a gig tomorrow where you were making really good money, fixing cars or some other type of machine and you were in an environment where you were valued and rewarded for your work, would you jump to it or would you think twice about it?
Probably jump.
You would jump, but you still said probably. Now, George, you are one of my closest work friends. We've known each other a long time.
I appreciate
and I'm bringing you into this for a reason. You're a neurotic overthinker as well.
1,000%.
And I don't say that in a negative way because we both are. George, you've heard this entire conversation. He's identified what it is he wants to do, but he's still overthinking. Everything is honestly this, probably that. What would you say to it?
Well, there's some analysis paralysis happening here, and not to make it an arcade analogy, but you're like a pinball just flying around in the machine going, well, I hope something sticks and someone appreciates me. And I remember bouncing around like that, but the question you have to ask underneath everything you're doing is, what is it about this task, this skill that gives me life? And what it is that drains me that I never want to do again? And as you start drilling down, which is exactly what Ken's material does, his book From Paycheck to Purpose, which is what we'll send you at the end of this, his Get Clear Career Assessment, it helps you figure out the root. Because once you figure out the root, you can go do a bunch of things and actually really enjoy it and make great money. But right now, we're just stuck on that fence. And so we've got to make a decision to go, I'm going to dive into this for 6 months. I'm going to explore being a mechanic and see if I love that. Because you can make great money being a mechanic. I don't know the career potential of fixing arcade games. That may be a hobby. That may be $1 million business.
Yeah.
But we've got to explore it and do some homework.
So, Ryan, today's the day you stop thinking, and you know what? You have had a checkered past. Some of it your fault, some of it not your fault. It doesn't matter. You're good at fixing machines, yes or no?
Yes.
You like fixing machines, yes or no?
Yes.
You can make more than $40,000 a year fixing machines, yes or no?
Yeah.
All right, so here's the deal. Pick a direction. It's not going to lock you in for the rest of your life. Let's go get qualified. What qualifications must I have to fix cars or fix other types of machines? Hey, look into fixing heat and air. Hey, it's all the same basic idea, whether it's a carburetor or the inside of an HVAC system. You want to talk about doing work that matters? Go fix somebody's heat and air unit in extreme weather. You're the most valuable person in their life. And that's part of what's going on with you, Ryan. You don't see the value to who you are and what you're doing for people when you fix a machine. But the world moves on people like you, Ryan. So let's look at all the different machines and things that I could fix. What do they pay? What's the upward mobility look like? And then what does it need to be qualified? Go after that. And then you're on your way.
Hang on the line.
This is The Ramsey Show.
We've been doing business at Ramsey for more than 30 years. By now, we're a well-oiled machine, but it wasn't always that way. Yes, we've always had a vision, always had determination, and a drive to help people. But what we didn't have was one central place to access all our numbers so that we could get further ahead or quickly see when we needed to pivot. We were always jumping back and forth between different systems and spreadsheets. So when NetSuite by Oracle helped us wrangle our revenue, inventory, expenses, and more into one place, it was a game changer. And NetSuite's #1 cloud financial system can help your business gain the same visibility, because businesses thrive on timely data. And NetSuite's real-time analytics can help your business have immediate access to your numbers daily, so you always know where you stand and you can move quickly. So go to netsuite.com/Ramsey today and set up a free product tour. That's netsuite.com/Ramsey.
Welcome back to the Ramsey Show. I'm Ken Coleman. I'm joined by my colleague, George Camel. That's Camel with a K. And
for that
we are here for
clarification.
you. 888-825-5225. That's 888-825-5225. And I got to mention, if you're a new listener, and George, as you know, we're getting new people in every day that we put the show out. It's very exciting. And if you want to dive deeper into this Ramsey system we call the baby steps, go to RamseySolutions.com. Click on Get Started. Simple click, and we're going to help you assess where you are in your financial journey as it relates to what we talk about here on this program. And then we'll get you the resources you need to move forward. RamseySolutions.com. Click on Get Started. Now, speaking of getting started, I am just now getting started with understanding the new vernacular that's coming out of my kid's mouth.
That's true.
I've got 3 teenagers. So it's cap this, and there's all these kind of new terms all the time. It's mid.
Oh, yeah, that's a new one.
Have you heard this one?
I've heard mid.
This is their way of saying it's average. That's so mid. And I have no idea. So I'm trying.
The goalpost moves every day.
It
Nobody
moves
can
every
keep
day. I'm a father of 3 teens. I'm hopelessly unable to stay up with the terms.
There's no point of understanding it because you can't use it, because then they make fun of you and say, no, you don't get to say that.
Yeah, and then I use it on the show, and then you make fun of me. I can't win.
Either way, you're not going to win.
But one of the terms I am familiar with is YOLO.
Yes.
Which apparently, and I'm stepping out on a real scary, precarious edge here, I think it means you only live once. Is that right, George?
Ding, ding, ding.
All right. And so why does this matter, this term?
So I like to keep you young by showing you new videos that I find on TikTok.
Yeah,
and
you're helping me.
There's some actually, as much as, people like to hate on TikTok, there's some really creative funny people out there making some great content. And one guy I follow, Matt Bushell, made one that he walks through the streets of New York with general observations. This one is about checking your bank account on Monday, and YOLO is the theme here. So I want you to see this for the first time. All right. We'll get your reaction.
Every Monday I play my least favorite game show. It's called Should I Check My Bank Account, or Should I Just Keep Being Happy? Because no one wins. It's kind of scary. I don't think A24 could make a scarier movie than the moment when you officially log in and see that credit card number. You're like, how much have I racked up on this thing? And the second you see it, it's always a little too high. So you're like, well, I will be composing a strongly worded email to the bank to let them know that fraud has been committed on my account. And then you click it because all the pending stuff, now that it's Monday, has gone through to pend it, I guess is the word. And then you look at it, you're like, hey, let's see what happened here. Let's see if I can find what happened. You're like, well, I did go get dinner there. And then, I did go get drinks at that bar with Everett. And then, we did take that Uber across town. Kevin did Venmo me $10 for the $70 Uber, so that's pretty much fine. And then, we did go to that bar. You're like, okay, that's fine. And then you see one thing, you're like, a boogie company, $50 to boogie company. And you're like, I got it. I found the fraud. And then you remember in the Uber, you bought a weird t-shirt from an Instagram ad from a brand you've never heard of. You're like, oh, nope, they got me this time. They got me. And it's so sad. There's nothing you can do. You just have to admit defeat, close out of the bank app, go into Google and just type in how to actually cook dinner.
Okay, so I get the YOLO reference.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he's walking through the average kind of millennial Gen Z's lifestyle, and they're going, there's got to be fraud in here somewhere. I didn't spend all this money.
Right.
And it turns out it was all him at the end of the day. So he's a funny creator and really taps into what people are feeling these days, which is, I'm broke. I have almost no money in the bank, but I want the happiness on this side. I want the YOLO. I want to go out with my friends. I want to enjoy my life. And they feel like they can't have both. And we know that's not true. But we also know it takes sacrifice. And you can't go out every weekend to all 4 bars and go Uber all around town and buy anything you want from Instagram and still have money in the bank.
I'm going to come up with a new thing for this.
What is it?
I to I.
Oh, no.
The letter I. I know.
I, number 2.
And then I. Injury to insult is what this practice is. I'm going to get in. I know I'm broke, but I don't know how I'm broke. I know I'm broke, but I've got to go back and do this awful scavenger hunt in my bank account and just keep getting an injury and the insult. That's
so
an old
good.
phrase. It's terrible.
I hope Gen Z picks that one
terrible.
up, Ken.
They're not going to.
Who came up with that one?
Yeah.
Oh, this 47-year-old guy, Ken Coleman.
Yeah,
Look him up.
This old boomer is trying to wear a hoodie to look cool next to George.
Oh, that's good.
No, but you understand what I'm saying. It's
Yes.
that's horrible. Oh gosh.
Well, the key is
so
we know
reactive.
exactly what we're doing to ourselves, but we don't want to feel any pain, which by pain I mean getting on a budget, being intentional, saying no to friends, having the boundaries to say, hey, man, I'm trying to get out of debt. I want to have more than $40 in my bank account at any given moment, which means I'm going to be side hustling, driving for Uber instead of getting into an Uber.
Yeah.
And that's a very different mentality. And that's what I had to do when I was getting out of debt. I drove for Uber and Lyft. So I was downtown Nashville on the weekends, Ken, but I was doing it because I was trying to make an extra $40, $50, $60, $70 that night to pay off debt.
Here's one more old man idea here on this. If you're young, you're out hanging out with everybody every night, that food and drink, it better be really good because you are kind of forfeiting your future. You are delaying real independence, real financial freedom, all because you want to go have, not even that good of an appetizer.
Well, they go, well, Ken, I couldn't cook this at home. And I get this feedback, Ken. Well, cooking at home, it's even more expensive than eating out. Goodness gracious. Because here's what they do. They go willy-nilly to the grocery store, get all this stuff, they make one meal out of it, throw the rest away, and then complain that $90 on groceries is more expensive than $40 on eating out.
Yeah.
Makes no sense.
You know what you ought to do? It'll be a fun video for you on TikTok and YouTube is take some young Gen Zers that are single and working and take them to Costco.
Oh.
And literally shop for them.
It would be my heart's delight.
I know. You would love that, wouldn't you?
Yes.
It'd be a good video. Like literally go, okay, now look, I'm literally going to shop for you for a month. Cut of food you like, and then you go on there and you go, now look, this will last
They
you.
tell me their budget.
Yes.
And we shop within that budget.
Yeah, they think you're going to work miracles.
Man, this is a great idea. If any Gen Zers are open to hanging out with me and going to Costco, let me know.
Yeah, at George Camel.
Maybe Ken will tag along. We'll get some free samples.
Yeah, I tell you what, and I could just be the old guy who eats the samples and comments on the samples. That's a good pot sticker right there. I'll tell you that right now. I don't know why I'm doing that
It's the content America needs.
Yeah, let's go to Ryan in San Jose, California. Ryan, how can we help?
Hey, guys.
San Jose, California. Ryan, how can we help?
Hey, guys. Yeah, thanks for taking my call. So I've been following your guys' principles for a little while now. My family kind of taught me some of the same things when I was growing up. And my question today is to kind of get an idea if there's any intentional things that we should be doing in terms of saving for our next home. And our circumstance right now is that we have about $305,000 income a year. Our home is worth about $520,000. We have $170,000 in debt towards that and have a plan in place to pay that off around February of this next year.
Awesome.
We have about $40,000 in company stock and a $36,000 emergency fund as we sit today. So we're trying to think, once we have the house paid off next February, is there anything we should be doing other than just saving the money and putting it and letting it sit in our savings account as we anticipate that new house in 3 to 4 years out?
Okay, so you're going to pay this house off next February, but then it's going to be another 3 years until you move.
That's correct.
And so you'll be in what we call baby step 7. You'll have no debt whatsoever and a fully funded emergency fund, and you're still investing. Correct?
Correct.
Love it. Well, with a 3-year time horizon, I'm probably just going to park that in a high-yield savings account and stack up that cash quick. If you were talking 5+ years, I would say we can invest that in some mutual funds, index funds, and allow that money to grow. But with 3 years, it's kind of a tight time horizon where the market could take some dips, and all of a sudden you're trying to make this move, but you're down. And so with your income, you're going to have no problem, saving up, 150K a year for 3 years?
Yeah.
On top of your paid-for house, which will only continue to appreciate over the next few years?
Yeah, that's the plan.
Is your goal to pay cash for the next house?
Yeah, we'd like to pay cash, and that's hopefully buy it outright, but we'll have to make those decisions kind of depending on where we are when the time comes.
Man, that's awesome. Yeah, factor in your closing costs and, of course, your moving costs. But outside of that, all the equity is in the house, and you're going to be able to roll that into the next one on top of that huge pile of cash you guys have. What an incredible picture of what it looks like to have peace financially, man. Way to go.
Yeah, seriously, Ryan, you are a stud. Your wife, heroine, you guys are amazing. This is why we do the show, George.
Gosh.
Wow.
Smiling
Their future
ear to ear.
is really, really bright. They sound like the Camels. George and Whitney.
I'm with that.
They're in that club. I love that. All right, don't move. More of your calls coming up. This is The Ramsey Show.
Y'all, there's a lot you can't control when it comes to healthcare, but there is something you should check out that can help. Christian Healthcare Ministries. CHM is not insurance. It is budget-friendly, biblically based health cost sharing. That means a community of members helping share the burden of each other's healthcare costs. They help people just like you in all 50 states. So see if CHM could be right for your family. Learn more today at chministries.org/budget.
The Ramsey Show continues. I'm Ken Coleman. George Campbell joins me in studio this hour. It's a free phone call if you want to jump in. We're going to talk about your life, specifically your money, your work, as I'm in here today. If you're just feeling stuck, you want to get a raise, maybe you've been overlooked, rejected, trying to figure out what that pivot is, anything work-related, we'll take those calls as well. 888-825-5225. Hey, taxes are confusing. That's why I use a pro, George. The idea of me doing my own taxes,
I don't trust it. You're getting audited, man. You missed a few boxes, I'm sure.
As you would say, forget about it. Is that how you say it?
No one would take me seriously. I do bada bing, bada boom.
That's it. Same idea. But if you want to make sure that you've got your taxes in order, you need a pro. Big life changes can mean big changes for your taxes that may have happened to you this year. Maybe you had a baby, bought a house, started a business. Taxes may be the last thing on your mind, but I promise you they're not the last thing on Uncle Sam's mind. And so with all those potential life changes, you're going to need to have a pro making sure that you get the break you need or that you pay what you're supposed to pay. So how do you keep all this straight? A Ramsey Trusted Pro, Ramsey Trusted Pro. As George would say, bada bing, bada boom, a Ramsey Trusted Pro will help you. They're part of our endorsed local provider program, and you can use Ramsey Smart Tax if you're comfortable filling it out online. Now, George, I feel like you could use Ramsey Smart Tax and do a great job. I on the other hand, would get distracted and go to jail.
I actually have my tax appointment this weekend.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, with a pro.
Okay.
I just don't mess with it, Ken.
I don't want to mess with it either. So that's why you get a Ramsey Trusted Pro to help you. It walks you through, by the way, if you want to use Ramsey Smart Tax, it walks you through all the steps to claim all the major deductions and credits you're eligible for, and it's available for only $19.95. So we got your do-it-yourselfers. The Ramsey Smart Tax will do it for you for only $19.95. Or if you're like George and I and you're scared, a Ramsey Trusted Pro is the way to go. Here's how you get both resources. RamseySolutions.com/tax. That's RamseySolutions.com/tax. All right, let's go to Mary, who joins us in Knoxville, Tennessee. Mary, how can we help?
Yes, I have $281,000 in my savings right now, and the bank called me. The CDs are at 4.25. Do you think it would be okay if I tied up some of my money in a CD while I learn about investing?
Great question, Mary. Where did this money come from?
My husband recently passed away, and about 220 of it is life insurance.
I'm so sorry for your loss. How long ago was that?
December 26th.
Oh, my goodness. How long are you guys married?
42 years.
Wow. Incredible. Well, what a legacy to leave leave you with only the grief of that loss versus financial grief as well. So are you in a good place financially? Do you have any debt?
I have the house, and I thought I'd pay that off, and that would take me down to $215,000.
Okay, so you only have about 65 left on the mortgage?
Yes.
Okay. And are you working or are you retired?
I am retired. I retired when he got sick for the second time. I do have a 403B, or he did. It's got $102,000 in it.
Okay. And are you needing the income created from this $281 that's sitting in savings, or do you have income separately that you're living off of?
I think I'm going to be okay. I've done my math, and I'll have $4,300 a month with my Social Security and my retirement. I was a teacher,
Okay.
And I think my budget is just about $2,800.
Oh, good.
That's good news. And so you're saying, hey, I don't need this $281,000 right now. I want to park it for now. I want to invest it long term, but right now I just want to park it.
Right.
Okay.
Because I don't
What's your
I don't know
mortgage
anything
payment?
about investing.
What's your mortgage payment per month? Once we pay this house off, that's coming off the list. So what's that number?
Oh, well, now I didn't put that in the 28.
Okay, good.
It's $852.
Okay, great.
Awesome. So here's what I would do temporarily. I wouldn't park it in the CD only because we don't know what the future holds, and I don't want you to get dinged with penalties for pulling the money out of that CD prematurely.
Oh, I'm not. Oh, I see what you mean.
So
Okay.
instead of a CD, which you can get the same rates right now with a lot of high yield savings accounts online,
Okay.
and most of those are going to be FDIC insured. And so you'll park that money in a safe place. I'm getting 4% right now in my high yield savings account, and it's totally liquid. And so if you needed the money for anything, you can pull it out without any penalties.
Okay.
And then longer term, I want you to sit down with a SmartVestor Pro so that we can make this money work for you long term. Do you have a financial advisor right now?
I don't, but I am interviewing. I used your website, and it sent me back like 5 different pros.
Perfect.
And I've interviewed my first, and I have 2 appointments this week.
Oh, my
Great.
goodness. I'm
Look
so
at
proud of you.
this.
So that's the long-term play, because what we can do with this money is if you invest, $200,000, $250,000 into good growth stock mutual funds, if you look, they'll show you this, the long-term return of the stock market has been 10 to 12%. And so
Okay.
I want that money to grow for you. Now, some years, like last year, it was down 18 or 20%. Some years it's been up 30%. And so the goal is, if we don't need this money long term, we can let it sit and grow, and that money can compound, which means the interest is earned, then the money, you're making interest off of that interest plus the balance. And over time, that could turn into $400,000, $500,000, $600,000.
Okay.
So that would be the end goal, is so that you can live the life you really want to live. Do you feel like you're missing out right now? Are you covering all your expenses and then some?
I think so, yes. I'm doing well.
Okay, good.
It's just been a month.
Oh my goodness. I know. I can't even believe you're here calling the show, getting all this done just 2 months later.
Well, You just
went into
having that
action
money,
mode?
I wanted to work for my children. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just want to be smart with it.
You're incredible, Mary. The fact that you're level-headed enough to even be looking at all this, interviewing pros, I'm proud of you, and I'm so sorry for your loss. I cannot imagine going through what you went through.
Is there any material out there for me to read and learn more about the
Absolutely.
mutual funds and investing?
Yeah, we cover that in a lot of our books. I'm going to send you a copy of Dave's book, Baby Steps Millionaires, which walks through his investing strategy that so many people have used to build wealth. Of course, we've got lots of articles on our website around, hey, here's the 4 mutual fund types, here's how to go through the selection process, and of course, the SmartVestor Pro will help you with that as well. So hang on the line. We're going to send you a copy of Baby Steps Millionaires, and we are wishing you the best on this journey.
Yeah, Mary, we are sorry for your loss, but you are in great shape financially. You've got all of the fundamentals in place to live very, very comfortably. And as George has just laid out advice for you, you're going to win. You're going to win financially in the years to come. So make that choice. And what I love about Mary, George, is sometimes I think people miss this part of the advice we give. So for new listeners, new viewers, we really recommend that you interview multiple SmartVestor pros. In this case, Mary went to the website, RamseySolutions.com. She clicks on SmartVestor Pro. We shoot back people that are in her area that have already been vetted by us, but we still say, interview them. Put them on notice that, hey, you are deciding who's going to handle your money, and interview them.
Stay in the driver's seat.
This is about connection. This is about, do I understand everything? Not, do I feel like they're good enough to make all these decisions for me? You've got to understand the process.
Absolutely. And the other thing that I love is that there was life insurance in place. And we recommend everyone have term life insurance. Avoid whole life insurance altogether. You want term life insurance, level term, 10 to 12 times your annual income. And you can get a 15, 20, 25, year level term. And the great news is if something happens, God forbid, you have a giant pile of money that you can invest and you can peel some of that off, a small percentage every year, so that you can sustain yourself financially after losing that person's income. So if you have anyone that depends on your income, get term life insurance today. Our friends at Xander, that's who I have mine through, and all of our team members here have it. Go check it out, RamseySolutions.com. You can check out all of those resources.
Do you have a money question? Do you have a professional, a work question? Do you have a relationship question? Hey, it's a free phone call. George and I are here for you. 888-825-5225. That's 888-825-5225. This is The Ramsey Show. Welcome back to The Ramsey Show. I'm Ken Coleman, joined by George Camel. Always good to be with you, George. It is a free phone call if you want to jump in, 888-825-5225. That's 888-825-5225. Let's see here. Let's go to Christy, who's joining us in Terre Haute, Indiana. You ever been there, George?
No, we've done a few live events out there.
We did a couple
it was before
live
my
events.
time.
Yeah, before your time. All right, let's go to Christy. Christy, how can we help?
Hi, thanks for taking my call.
You bet.
My husband and I, we just bought a house back in December, and it's an older 1960s home, and we've been getting our electric bills now, and they're quite expensive. Our heating system is the original heat, but it does a good job at it heats the house well, but we're in baby step 2, and my husband, he's going to be getting a bonus coming up, and I didn't know if we could use the bonus to upgrade our heating source.
Aha. What's this new furnace going to cost?
It's going to cost $6,500.
Okay. And how much debt do you guys have?
We have $115,000.
What kind of debt is that?
Mostly student loans. There's a little bit of credit card. We have one car loan and some personal loans, but mostly student loans.
Okay. And what's the household income?
We make $145 combined.
Wonderful.
What's the electric bill running?
It was $800.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah. And it's a total electric home, and we weren't expecting that at all. And I thought I had a heart attack the first electric bill we got.
Sure.
So,
what do you think it would be with this new furnace?
Well, the house that we lived in previously, our electric bills were less than half, and the house was twice the size. So we thought downsizing at home, we would come out ahead, and we would have a bigger shovel to pay down debt. And then once we got the electric bill, it really took us back. And we thought, well, our shovel decreased a little bit. And as far as the utilities, we're still way ahead by downsizing at home.
So you could save $500 a month by getting a new furnace.
Oh, yeah, probably. That's what we were thinking. And we also had someone out, and they thought maybe we could do a wood stove, and it was $5,500 to put in a wood stove. So I didn't know if that's something we should consider, or if we scrap this completely and use the...
Well, let's play this out for a second. What would the wood stove... Would that remove all of the heating, the electrics? I mean, it's going to drastically reduce it even more?
I would think we would have very minimal electric bill. From what the contractor told us, of course, he could just be upselling us, to buy a stove. But for our size of home, he said we would easily heat the house with the wood stove.
Yeah, but what about AC? Because if you get the HVAC system, you get your AC as well.
Yeah, we already have central air.
This is just for heat. Have you gotten a few quotes?
The system that we have is like in the ceiling. Some people call it cable heat or radiant ceiling heat. Like I said, it's really warm heat. It's just not very energy efficient.
It's not efficient, yeah. Have you gotten a few quotes, or is this the only guy?
We got 3 quotes on the furnace, and we got 2 quotes on the wood stove.
Okay. And how much is your husband's bonus that's coming in?
It's going to be $14,000.
Oh, wonderful. And how much do you have in the bank right now?
in our savings or checking?
Just combined.
Combined. Trying to do the numbers. We've got
It can be a round number, just estimate.
probably 5,000.
Okay.
We've got some money that's mostly in our savings.
So we'll have $19K in liquid cash once this bonus comes in, roughly, right?
Yes.
And so if we spend $6,500 on the furnace, that still leaves us with 12 or 13 to start throwing at our smallest debt. And hopefully that saves us a lot of money. So if this is a burning issue, no pun intended, go ahead and get the furnace done. It's not urgent. It's not broken. It's just inefficient.
No,
so there's not a true need. I wouldn't call it an emergency.
Okay.
But if this has just been a real pain point for you guys and it's a hurdle for you to continue to this debt payoff journey and you could have an extra $6,000 in your life, it should ROI within the year at that point. If you save $500 a month for 12 months, that's $6,000. That's what the furnace costs.
That's what we were thinking. We've had a mild winter here in Indiana, so I'm afraid if we'd have a typical winter, what will our electric bill be next winter, sort of thing.
Yeah. And beyond that, I would just set up a sinking fund line item in your budget for home repair, renovation, maintenance type stuff so that you have a little pile of cash that's growing over the course of the year to cover things like this. Obviously, this is a big adjustment here. But
well, thank you so much for the call,
that's
Christy.
the move.
I mean, look, that's one of those things where I'm sitting there, I'm back and forth on that one. Because if you had a mile, it was like, how could we heat that place without running the crazy, whatever she called that, heat coming out of the ceiling? I never even heard that before. It's fantastic.
Well, 1960s homes, it was,
right.
They built them different back then, Ken. You remember.
Thank you, George.
Remember.
Thank you. Yes, indeed. All right, let's go to Ottawa, Canada. Alex is on the line. Alex, how can we help?
Hello?
Hello, Alex.
Hi. So I just had a quick question. I'm thinking of looking into buying a new car. I know the car market right now isn't good, and I just want to make sure I'm not making a sort of dumb decision.
What do you want to buy, and how much does it cost?
So I'm going to look at the numbers. Right now I'm debating maybe Mercedes, or should I go smaller and go towards like a Honda? It's a little better, but somewhere in the range of like 15 to 20,000.
15 to 20?
Yeah.
Okay. And you're paying cash?
Yes, it will be fully in cash.
Okay. What's your financial picture look like? What's your income? Do you have any debt?
So I've been following, because I'm 22 right now. I've been following the Ramsey plan, I guess, since I was 16. So awesome. I have zero debts whatsoever. I paid off my college. Currently, I have about 30,000 in the bank. I have about maybe another 15 in investments and mutual funds, and a little bit more in retirement, like 2,000-3,000 in retirement.
Way to go! And what's your income?
I make $80,000 a year.
Wonderful. And you're driving something right now, correct?
I'm driving it's been a while, but I'm driving a 2006 Honda, so I've been driving crap, just like Dave Ramsey said.
Been there, man. Been there. Okay, so we're going to sell that thing and get this new car, or used, new to you?
Yeah, so it'd be kind of new. So would it be dumb of me if I were to go for a Mercedes instead of going for the simple Honda?
It's not dumb. Here's what you're going to run into. Mercedes, I just actually saw this. I follow one of these car dealership guys who gives you the industry insider scoop. Mercedes is holding its value and people are paying top dollar, so you're going to have a hard time finding a deal, which means you're going to get an older Mercedes, which is fine, but you've got to be prepared for a higher cost of ownership. That thing may be in the shop. It may be some expensive repairs versus the Honda.
Yeah, I drive a Mercedes, so I'm going to tell you right now, your oil change, do your homework. Do your homework on all this stuff. What's an oil change cost on the model you're looking at?
Could take premium gas versus regular.
It absolutely needs to be premium gas. And so you start running those numbers, and then you can kind of play off of George's ratios here on what you should. But, I mean, you've got the cash.
Yeah, you're in a great place. You're not doing anything dumb either way. I just want you to be prepared for what's ahead. You could get a newer Honda, or you can get the older Mercedes. The Honda's going to have a lower cost of ownership over the next few years. The Mercedes, you're going to need a bigger line item in the budget for car maintenance and repairs. That's all. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, that's right.
And you're in a spot to do it. So Don't feel bad. You have earned the right, man. You're 22. You've crushed it. You've been following this stuff since you were 16. And it's those people, Ken, that have the hardest time parting with the money.
That's right. Now, I want our audience to know, we got new people all the time. So you went from driving a Honda.
An 09.
An
Honda
09 Civic with how many?
It had 170,000 miles. I bought it for $6,000.
Bought it for $6,000. You saved up and you bought a Tesla.
Yes. A used 2013 Tesla.
A used 2013. Now,
and that was only after we paid off the house. So that was the treat to myself.
You don't need to explain anything. You're very responsible. So my question is, expenses way less? Same?
Yeah. Way less.
Because of the no gas.
Nothing can go wrong in that thing.
Boy, you hope
beautiful.
so.
I hope. Unless the battery dies, then I'm in like 20 grand. Oh, I'm going to throw up.
20 grand for a battery?
I think that's what they cost, Ken. I don't know.
Boy, I hope you got an emergency fund for that, George.
I do a lot of prayer in that car.
Oh, no. Hey, always fun to be with you. Thank you for being with me this hour. I want to thank James and the crew behind the glass for keeping us on the air. Mostly, I want to thank you, America. This is your show. This is The Ramsey Show. Hey, it's Ken. If you love the show and want a deeper dive on your money journey, we have a weekly newsletter that gives you trending and helpful articles and tips on following the Ramsey way. Go to RamseySolutions.com today to sign up for our newsletter. Again, that's RamseySolutions.com to sign up for our weekly newsletter. Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Pods Moving and Storage Studio. This is The Ramsey Show. We're going to talk about your life, specifically your money, your work, and your relationships. I'm Ken Coleman. George Camel joins me this hour. We're here for you. The phone number to jump in is 888-825-5225. That's 888-825-5225. George, you warmed up?
I'm caffeinated, and I'm a little bit irritated, so it could be an interesting show.
I like where this is heading. Let's go to Eden in Louisville, Kentucky. Eden, how can we help?
Hello. I was just wondering, so we are currently on baby step number 2. We have about maybe 12 to 14,000 in debt with like car loans and stuff. But we have been putting money towards our IRA and 401k for about a year now, before we, started with the baby steps. And I was just wondering, we're currently putting 3% in 401k and 3% in IRA, and his employer is matching the 3%. Basically, I'm wondering, should we stop doing that, and, just start putting it all towards baby step number 2? Or, it's just, I think it's like $60 every paycheck, so it's not a whole lot. I don't know if we should just continue doing that or...
Yeah, great question. Well, part of the plan is gazelle intensity in baby step 2, and that means every extra dollar that's going anywhere else is now reallocated towards that debt. And this is a hard one emotionally for a lot of people to grapple with, going, well, I'm getting the free money from the employer. Why wouldn't I continue to do this? You guys talk about the power of compound interest, but we found the shortest path to wealth is focused intensity. And when you allocate those dollars, even if it's $60 a paycheck, you do that in the 401k, the IRA, it's $120 a paycheck. So now we're talking $250 a month, round numbers. Mm-hmm. And now we multiply that out. We go, okay, well, that's a few $1,000s that could help us become debt-free even faster. And then once we get back to investing, we're no longer doing these 3%, we're doing 15%. And so you're going to make up for that lost time, and you're going to retire a millionaire if you just follow the plan. But again, it's a hard thing emotionally to grapple with, and I don't want to, minimize that. But that's exactly what I did, and it's exactly what people who go all in on the plan do, and that's where they see the results. So how much faster would you be debt-free if you paused all investing right now?
Well, we're already, we're trying to go all in on everything else. I did the math, and we should be completely debt-free this time next year. So it'd probably cut it down at least a quarter. So
what's your income?
About $55,000 to $60,000.
Okay, so household income 55 to 60, and you've got about $14,000 in debt.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're saying it'll take 12 months to pay off $14,000?
Roundabout. We're putting our entire tax return towards the debt. So we're going to put a big dent in it, once we get that in.
So here's the question. How can we speed that up? You're going, all right, we make $60,000. It's going to take us a year. That's about $1,000 a month going towards debt. What if we could put $1,200 towards the debt? What if we could put $1,300 towards the debt? How does that speed up the process? And that's where it starts to get exciting. And that's when you start to go, okay, I'm willing to pause the investing. I'm willing to take on the side hustle because now I see a path for us to do this in 8 months instead of 12. And now that's 4 more months where we're not making payments and paying interest, 4 more months closer to investing again and building up that emergency fund. Do you feel that momentum that gets built?
Right, yeah.
And so that's what I encourage you guys to do so that you get to baby step 4 even faster. And that's the goal. What is the shortest path? Because right now we're doing a lot of things at once and we're not feeling the progress on either side.
Okay, yeah. I figure that's probably what you'd say.
We're so unsurprising, Ken.
Yeah.
I wish I could tell Eden some like magical stuff she's never heard, but the truth is, it's the boring stuff we kind of need to hear and go, yeah, that's right. I just need to go to the gym and work out and not get that special lap band I saw on TV that's supposed to make me lose weight in my sleep.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it doesn't work.
And that's how it works with money, too.
Yeah. Boy, that's a really good point. I love that. All right, let's go to Scott now in Fort Myers, Florida. Scott, how can we help?
Hi. Thank you guys for taking my call. Just real quick, I am on baby step 2. I've paid off $86,879 in about 2 years, and I have $72,000 more to go. So
way to go, man!
Good process. We're trying. My question actually is about term life insurance. I have a 16-year-old son. I am a single father, and I have full custody with visitation. Can I put him as my
the beneficiary?
Beneficiary, thank you. Or do I have to have my mother do it for the 2 years and then switch him over?
So you can legally name him beneficiary, but he will not be able to access those funds until he's a legal adult. And so that's where things get a little hairy, a little tricky. And so it's probably easier to leave it with the guardian, or you can look at creating a trust to where there would be certain rules as to when he would access that money. But the danger is, you give an 18-year-old $500,000 and hope that they're going to be okay. And so that's the more worrisome part. There's some other things you can do, like the Uniform Transfer to Minors Act you can look into. You can also leave the money with the insurance company, and he just doesn't get it until he's an adult.
Okay.
So there's nothing wrong with leaving it?
He's listening to your show with me, not right now, but all
awesome.
the time. So he's pretty good about money. He's saving up for his first car, so
that's fantastic.
Cash only.
Well, it's a great. You're thinking about this the right way, and if you want to talk to a local lawyer about what it would look like to set up a trust, what it would look like to who'd you say would be the guardian?
My mom.
So your mom could control the funds.
If I were to pass, it would be his mom. But
okay, would be the legal guardian.
Full custody. Yeah.
Got it. Well, I definitely cross those T's and dot those I's and make sure that the way that flows is the right way, at least in the next few years. You can always change it later on and go, all right, he's an adult now, things are different. But it looks like you raised a great kid, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for the question.
Well, you got the single parents, man. They've got a lot going on, and a lot of single moms, of course, get the praise that they deserve. We want to honor them all the time. But then we got a single dad here who's going about this the right way. And,
making sure his family's taken care of.
When you can help a kid figure this stuff out early on, it's a game changer because they're going to get bombarded with a whole different set of messages by culture.
Yeah.
Well, what's the hottest new trend for young people right now?
Well, we were just looking at this, Ken. There's a Twitter account called Coinfessions, and it's all the crypto people confessing all of the terrible things that have happened. And what we're seeing is a lot of young people who made a lot of money very quickly, and they're unable to handle it, and their life completely implodes. Or they lose all the money because they were a little greedy, and they had $100,000, even $800,000. One of these kids had at 20 years old, lost it all in a few trades, and his life is ruined. And they go into deep anxiety and depression. And so the truth is, no 18-year-old, 20-year-old should be dealing with a scenario where they're just handed $1 million and told, be wise. They're just not ready for that, emotionally or financially.
Yeah.
So that's what I kept thinking of when I heard this story of him going, all right, he's going to be left a lot of money at 18. And I think of the prodigal son in the Bible, and you go, please don't make any bad decisions here.
Yeah,
We've got to live a little and learn some things. But it sounds like he's raised a great kid.
There's a reason why so many lottery winners go broke. It's just such an unbelievable change. And if you're not prepared for it, you don't have a construct for it,
That's
boy,
why I like,
can do some
the
damage.
get rich slow plan. You tend to keep it that way.
Yeah, I like that. Get rich slow. Well, that's not going to be very popular.
No one
but
wants to
it
hear
does
that.
work. All right, don't move. More Ramsey Show coming up right around the corner.
Look, I love real estate, and I want you to have a house, but I don't want a house to have you. That's why you need to get in touch with Churchill Mortgage to make sure you do this right. These guys are awesome. They'll help you get on a smarter mortgage plan because they're committed to doing what's right for you. That means they check in every year with free consultations to help you stay on the right plan. They show you how to save money and interest so you can build wealth faster. They walk you through the total cost of your loan so you can make the best choice. Basically, they care. That's why we call them Ramsey Trusted. You can achieve debt-free home ownership, and Churchill is here to help. Go to their site, churchillmortgage.com/Ramsey, to start your approval or get more information.
Welcome back to the Ramsey Show. I'm Ken Coleman. I'm joined by my colleague, George Camel. We are excited that you are here. George, you know, it is a fact of life that sequels just don't do well. I don't know if you have a strong opinion on sequels
I
or
do,
not.
because I tried to watch Space Jam 2.
Yeah, couldn't get through it.
Don't waste your time, folks.
Yeah, there it is. And, you know, sequels they kind of get a bad rap. All you Macaulay Culkin-less Home Alones, I'm looking at you, Chandler, Ross, Joey, Rachel, Monica, just stay in the 90s where you belong. Someone wrote that. I'm going to take issue with that. I'd love to see a revival of Friends. Where are they now? Where do they hang out this time
They
around?
did the reunion.
Yeah, I missed it.
It wasn't much of a reunion.
That was more of a conversation.
Yeah.
Well, what this means is that the wildly popular product, Question for Humans, Friends, second edition by Dr. John Deloney. These are conversation starters, very, very popular, and you demanded more. So here's one, George. What's a common phrase or saying that you have no idea what it means?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. I mean, you hear the old-timey saying, like one fell swoop. Or, you know, a bird in the bush is worth two in the hand. That's why I have no clue what that, when people say that.
You don't know what a bird in the bush is worth two in the hand?
No idea what that means.
It's interesting.
Do you? You said it like I know exactly what it means.
I think I do, but I started to go, I've never even thought
Second-guessing
about
yourself.
it. So a bird in the hand is actually worth two in the bush. You said it wrong. So I had to So I had to focus. So what that means is a bird in the hand, I've got this one. I got the bird here. That's worth more than saying, well, there's two over here in the bush. I can go get those if I want. No, take the opportunity you have before you.
Oh, okay. That was actually a good explanation. I thought you were just fudging your way through it.
No,
but
I
you
literally
knew.
was processing because you said it wrong. You're like a bird in the bush. And I went, that's not right. And I hadn't heard it in a
I
while.
was trying to throw you off the scent of the trail. That's
I'll tell you
another
one
phrase.
that I don't know. I know what it means, but I don't know what the gander is. Do you know what this phrase is?
What?
You know, what's good for the goose is good for the gander.
Oh.
Couldn't tell you what the gander is. Yeah, I'll look it up.
Who gets to invent these? Was there a marketing meeting back in
it's just-
1928 where they decided on all of these?
Well, they talked differently back then. So anyway, all that to say,
this is the kind of juicy content you can create by getting the questions for humans.
Yeah, so we've
Friends,
got the first edition, and now, oh, wait a second. This is the Question for Humans Friends edition. Do yourself and your friends a favor. Pick up the second Friends. Also, we have a second Friends edition.
The people wanted more.
Okay. It would be great if I was comprehending what I was reading, George.
Words are hard.
RamseySolutions.com/humans. RamseySolutions.com/humans.
What an interesting URL that is.
It is.
/humans.
Yeah. Oh, it is rather macabre. Do you know what that word means?
You're throwing me for another loop here.
Yeah, go look that one up during the break. That's your word of the day, macabre.
I'll Google it while we take this call.
There you go. Alyssa is in Louisville, Kentucky. Alyssa, how can we help?
Hi, George. Hi, Ken. Thanks for taking my call.
You bet. What's up?
I have a little bit of a this or that question.
Oh, I like that.
We're on baby step 2, me and my husband, and we lost our mother-in-law at the end of last year. And yeah, so obviously that's a huge storm in our life. Now, he is the sole heir to her estate. We're taking care of a lot of stuff right now, and after all is said and done, it will help us out a lot. However, we're going through the probate process. We have enough funds coming in from life insurance to pay down baby step 2 completely. But what we don't know is whether or not we should sit on it until probate is over, just in case, because my mother-in-law was not the best at her finances. We'll just say that. And there were some hidden things that we found after she passed that we have paid off what we know. But with the estate process, things come out of the woodwork. And so we're a little nervous to use that money because there won't be much, if any, left over if we do use it for our baby step 2. So I guess my this or that is, should we consider this storm mode, or should we go on and just put it all on baby step 2 and try to cash flow whatever expenses may come up during probate?
So do you have the money now to pay off all the debt, or are you saying you will once probate's over?
No, we have it now because life insurance is not part of her estate technically.
Okay. So what is the worry? Let's walk this out. Let's say you pay off all your debt tomorrow, and now you're on baby step 3. Do you have enough to fully fund that, or is that going to take a few months?
It will take a few months. We're inheriting her house, and so we won't have a house payment, which is another huge blessing, which will increase our cash flow for baby step 3. But, we don't have like a super huge income, and we just don't know what might be coming as far as.
Well, you won't be personally liable for any of this. The estate will have to eat that. And so you're not going to get on the other end and owe money.
The detail on that is that her estate also goes all of it to her son. And if we're living in the house and we're using it, and then someone comes against the estate, we'd have to give up the house.
If there's a lien against the estate?
If a creditor comes up during probate and they have a claim to the estate, then we would have to sell the house in order to liquidate the funds to pay the creditor, if you see what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So it kind of puts us in a pickle.
So how long is this probate process going to take?
In Kentucky, the creditors have 6 months from the date of the grant of probate to come forward with their claims. And his aunt, my husband's aunt, is the executor. It'll be about August when that's over, and when we know what all the debts will be.
I still think you're going to be in a better place financially if we knock out all the debt today, we have no payments, and we begin saving up that emergency fund.
Okay.
That would still put you in a better spot until August versus just hanging on to the debt, not sure. How much debt do you have and how much money's in the bank?
So we're also counting on tax refund and stuff. That's probably all going to come in this month because all that's just in process. We have about $21,000 in debt, and it'll be just about that much, maybe $22,000 or $23,000 that we will be receiving.
Okay.
We already have the life insurance. We're waiting on a couple other things, but they're coming.
What's your household income?
55 to 60 gross.
Okay. I think it'd be a great goal to pay off that debt and have a fully funded emergency fund by August.
I would love that.
And that way you are sleeping well at night, you've got money in the bank, and we'll figure out what happens when that time comes. But I don't want you to have this in limbo, freaking out about it until then while you're still making payments on this. I want you to make progress until that time comes. And hopefully it's all clean, there's no liens, no creditors are coming after you guys, and you walk away from this thing and you're able to just grieve. I'm so sorry for your loss, though.
Thank you. Thank you.
Man. Ooh, that's tough, Ken.
It is.
A lot of loss just in today's show.
Yeah.
People are going through it. I know you help a lot of people on your show, and you're a great encourager. It just feels like it's a heavy time out there. You know, we try to have fun just to bring some levity to the show, but man, it can just get heavy.
Yeah, and I think that when life gets heavy like that, what we've got to do is certainly in financial decisions, professional decisions, personal decisions, the big, big decisions, just heal first, just let's not try to, grit our way through it. Let's be weak. Let's be vulnerable. Let's get healthy. And then on the other side of the healing, as you're healing, then your perspective changes anyway, because each day on the other side of healing, you're very forward thinking anyway. But I think people get into trouble. For instance, a lot of people have been laid off. I mean, Disney laid off 7,000 employees last week. We know from psychology research that when you're laid off from a job, even when it's expected, it has the same emotional impact as losing a loved one. Wow. And so we're not equating the two. What we're saying, the emotion is similar. It's devastating. And so, whether, again, in your work life, your professional journey, your financial life, your relationship life, take the time to heal, get the help you need, and then begin to make the big decisions going forward. Don't make big decisions in the midst of that pain. It's very, very hard to kind of have the best wits about you. And that's always something we want to remind you, those of you that are going through a tough time. This is The Ramsey Show.
If you're like most people, your home is your most valuable asset. And when you want to make improvements, it can feel like everything costs too much or takes too long. But something as simple as custom window coverings from Blinds.com can completely change your space and add value to your home. We've recommended Blinds.com for over a decade, so you know you can trust them. From blinds, drapes, and shutters to motorized shades, they make it easy and affordable to upgrade your entire home, and their team is ready to help with everything from design consultation to measuring and installation. Plus, there are never any misleading quotes or hidden fees. Everything's backed by their 100% satisfaction guarantee, and shipping is always free. See why Blinds.com is the #1 online retailer of custom window coverings. Visit Blinds.com to save up to 45% off everything site-wide. Go to Blinds.com now to learn more.
Welcome back to The Ramsey Show, where we talk about your life, specifically your money, your work, and your relationships. George Camel is joining me. I'm Ken Coleman, and I am the Ramsey personality focused on work. So if you got your work-related question, that could be anything from, I don't know what I want to do. Should I go to school? Should I not go to school? I want to take a promotion. I'm not getting promoted. I'm getting rejected, overlooked. Anything work-related. I got a toxic environment. I'll take those questions. And to that end, we've got a work-related question here, George. Our question of the day from Alina in the official Ken Coleman community on Facebook. She says, how do you respond to a job offer that does not meet your desired salary? Okay, it's a good question, right? So do you go in after they make their offer and do all this big grand negotiation? What do you think, George? Yes or no?
I don't think the way to go about it is show back up and go, yeah, I need 50 to make this work or I'm out.
Okay, all right. So here's
if the offer was 45 and you thought in your mind it was going to be 50 or 60, for example.
Well, it all depends on how tight are you on that paycheck. So if you need 50 to make ends meet and they offer you 45, you're in a quandary. Now, I don't think there's this big grand negotiation anymore, but what I do think you can say in that situation is, hey, listen, let's say you were, in this case, making 50 previously or close to. You say, look, I can't do it for that. I want the job, but I just literally, with my budget, I cannot make ends meet on that. I appreciate the opportunity, but if that's the best you can do, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to stay. Now, that's not a negotiation. That is you saying very clearly, based on real numbers, it's not a tactic. It's, I can't do it. Then you'll see what they can do. But this idea of trying to negotiate is just not a lot of that.
Hopefully it comes up beforehand, before the job offer. There's some discussion of compensation,
but you
benefits,
you
package.
can't expect that in today's world. You know, there's a big push for transparency and pay and put that out ahead of time. But companies that don't want to do that for very understandable reasons will come back and they'll get around it another way. So when you're in that conversation, you got to know, what's that walk away number? If that number doesn't get to here, I'm walking away. And that, by the way, will come across in your communication to where you really don't have to negotiate. And that's the thought, George. You don't have to negotiate if you know what your number is and what you're willing to walk from.
Well, and the key is to not put, the HR team in a defensive posture.
That's right.
Where then it backfires.
And the real thing is, let's do some research. Do you know what the market value is based on your skill and experience? And do you think this company is going to be competitive? You can do that homework ahead of time.
What about when they kind of make some promises, Ken, or, they say, well, I know this is it's not exactly what you're hoping for, but there's a big trajectory, within the next 6 months, you could be making you kind of start to get a little bit of that as well.
Yes, and so what I would do, if they start to say that, you're going to go, okay, what's that measurement look like? So what are the results that I will need to produce, and how will we measure those results? Because if they can't give you specific answers to that, now it's one of those, they're just dragging you along.
They're just dangling a carrot.
And I shared this on the Ken Coleman Show today. This is relevant. Paychex just put out a new study. 80% of people who changed jobs in 2021 and 2022 regret leaving their previous job.
Whoa.
That's a staggering number.
What was the reasoning? Did they have
you know what, right, for the number one reason? It wasn't the paycheck. It was they missed their friends from their previous job. This relationship component.
It's a big shift. It's like moving to a new city.
Yeah, I mean, we can't undervalue relationships in the office. So, I mean, you and I sit next to each other.
I can't imagine ever leaving here not having Ken Coleman in my life.
I don't know what I would do. I would be distraught if I didn't see you every morning. And that perfectly coiffed beard of yours and that meticulous part in the side of your hair. These are just the surface things.
Wow.
Not to mention your
my character.
Your character, your integrity, your sage advice, all the things, George.
Oh, I love when flattery turns to sarcasm real quick. That's the Ken Coleman I know and love.
That's what we do. 888-825-5225 is the number. Rebecca's joining us in St. Louis, Missouri. Rebecca, how can we help?
Hi, guys. Thanks for taking my call. I am a 1099 employee about to start a new position. It'll be the highest income that I've ever earned.
Wow.
And I've been divorced since 2020 and have steadily increased my income, but I am also at the lowest point financially, and I have no money saved up for retirement. And so, before I get too used to this new income, I wonder if I should set up retirement plan as part of my budget moving forward when the money starts coming in, when the income starts coming in.
What's your new
income?
income?
I wait? It'll be $95 an hour.
Awesome.
But that's before taxes and
is
things.
that kind of a full-time 40 hours a week?
Yes.
Wonderful. So we're talking almost $200,000?
Yes.
Way to go. Okay, and how much debt do you have?
A lot. 155 just in student loans. And then I've got another 55 in personal debt with a car, credit cards, medical bills, a furniture loan, with other things. But I haven't worked since the middle of December, and I had money saved up for my taxes for last year, and I've been living on that now because I've been between jobs, and now my savings is gone, and I'm going to have a pretty good tax bill, I know, and I have a good accountant who's working with me. Last year was my first year being 1099, and the income was not where we had predicted it would be at that time. So Anyway, I know I'll have a tax bill as well, and I have no more savings.
Okay. So right now, I know we're worried about retirement. We're going to get to that. But right now, I want to clean up this mess, this pile. I want to get the IRS off of our back. So your A1 is going to be getting rid of this debt, which with this newfound income, we can do fairly quickly. We're talking 2 to 3 years, right?
Yes, that's what I figured too when I mapped it out.
Yeah.
I was hoping for that.
I mean, if you make $200,000 and you have $200,000 in debt, and you can live off of 50 or 60 or 70 even, you got 100 plus to throw at the debt, and this thing's gone in 2 years.
Yeah.
And then think about where you're at. You have no payments in the world, and you make $200,000, and let's say, how old are you right now?
46.
Okay, so let's say at 48, you're completely debt-free, and you're maxing out every single retirement vehicle you can.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you still have almost... You have almost 20 years to just invest and build wealth with no payments in the world. So you'll be able to build wealth. And you can do that through a lot of... Do you have any retirement vehicles right now through your employer?
No, nothing. It'll all be on me.
Okay.
And
so are you going to be able to do like a SEP IRA or solo 401k?
Yeah. So I was looking at that too. Like, I think that would help with my tax bill in the future. Like, if I set some money aside now, maybe, and do put some money into an IRA down the, at the end of the year or something, it might help with my taxes also, but also benefit me with during my path towards retirement also. So
I think the best path towards retirement is getting rid of $200,000 sitting around our neck with interest. That's how you're going to be able to, because you can retire with dignity if you just don't have any payments and you have some income coming in. And so that's the goal. Follow the plan all the way through, and making $200,000 at 48 years old, 2 years from now, completely debt free, you're going to be able to save another 100, 150 a year. There's a lot of things you can do once you hit 50 with catch-up contributions. You have a lot of time on your side, Rebecca. I know it feels like you don't because you're 46, but there's a lot of life ahead.
Yes, my goodness, you're young. She's younger than me, George. Make sure we emphasize that. She's got plenty of time.
Yeah. I mean, Ken, you got a lot of life to live, buddy.
I hope so.
Goodness.
I hope
it's not too late, folks. Whether you're 30, 40, 50, even 60, becoming debt-free and maximizing your greatest wealth-building tool, your income, can help you retire with dignity when you want to instead of when you have to.
He is George Kamel. I'm Ken Coleman, and you're listening to The Ramsey Show. Don't move. Welcome back to The Ramsey Show. I'm Ken Coleman, joined by George Kamel. We're here to take your questions about your life, your money questions, how about your work questions and relationship questions. We will get those answered for you. 888-825-5225 is the number. If you like the show, please consider subscribing, leaving a review, and sharing it with a friend. We want to get it out to as many people as possible because we're bringing hope through practical answers and a clear path forward for you. Again, in your work, in your money, and in your relationship life. I'm taking your work questions this hour. Andrew's up in Los Angeles, California. Andrew, how can we help?
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call. So I am making about $2,100 a month, and I'm wondering how much of my money I should just be saving towards a bigger emergency fund, or if I should start investing now. I'm only 23 years old.
Cool. Okay. What are you doing for work?
Work at a Starbucks in Los Angeles.
Awesome. And you're saying you've got an emergency fund that is what size right now?
I got about $13,000 in the bank.
Okay. And how many months of expenses would you call that?
I'd say about like 9 to 10 months.
Wow. That's plenty. How cheap is your rent?
I'm paying about $1,100 a month in rent.
Okay, so it's not 9 months worth of expenses then, because your rent alone would eat up.
Yeah, true enough.
Oh, okay.
But it's my job is if I do happen to get fired or downsized, I'm comfortable enough getting a new job fairly quickly in the service industry.
Okay.
That I'm not too worried about having a massive emergency fund.
So where is the need then? Because you're saying, should I keep building the emergency fund? What would be the purpose of that if you've got 3 to 6 months already?
Well, I'm taking classes full time as well, and I'm wondering, for mechanical engineering.
Awesome.
And I'm wondering if it's worth just foregoing or investing for 2-3 years until I have more wiggle room and a higher salary rather than a practically minimum wage employee.
And so do you have any debt right now?
No, I do not. My parents actually raised me on the baby step program, and I avoided debt altogether in my life.
And you're able to cash flow your coursework for the mechanical engineering?
I'm taking classes through Starbucks, and they're actually free.
Oh, that's awesome. Way to go, man. So why not go ahead and start investing? Does Starbucks have any retirement options, 401k?
I haven't looked into that too much. I don't know for certain. I'd imagine they do. But I'm just wondering if it's not more wise just to hold off until I have, is that, or do you think my emergency fund is sizable enough that I can just avoid?
Well, that's where if you're doing a monthly budget and you take your bare bones expenses that, hey, if something went down, I need to cover these expenses. Take that, multiply it by 3 to 6 months, and then it gives you your number. If that's I think 13 sounds like a reasonable number for you, then I would begin investing. Investing doesn't happen once you start making a certain amount of money. It happens when you have no debt and an emergency fund in place. Because what we're really trying to do is build that savings muscle where we get used to 15% of our income, regardless whether it's 30 or 300,000, going into retirement. And I would imagine Starbucks has some decent investing options that can get you started.
Like I said, I don't know for certain, but I imagine they do as well.
Yeah, Andrew, I want to echo what George said. You're in good shape. If you want to put a little bit more money in the emergency fund, go for it. But the point is pretty quickly you need to start investing so that you just get into this rhythm, this routine. It becomes a habit for you, like brushing your teeth. You're investing every check. And that's going to serve you long term, big time. As young as you are and as financially responsible as you've been up to this point, that's why you want to do this. You're fine. You don't have a lot to cover. If you were to have a true loss of work or some type of huge emergency, you don't have a lot to cover. So you're in good shape.
I guess I am. I guess I really just need that confirmation, I guess.
But you do, but you don't. And we're encouraging you, but you know what you need to do? George gave you the answer. You need to write these numbers out. Get it out of your head and write it down. Go, okay, how much money would I need to have a fully funded 3-month emergency fund? What would 6 months look like? You can go either way, anywhere in between there. But actually get that number. Be absolutely certain what that number is, and you're going to be more confident.
And then just do the research, do the homework with your HR folks or the website on the back end and say, hey, help me understand this. What are my investing options? I'm going to go ahead and do 15% of my income, even if it's from $15 an hour, $20 an hour, whatever it is. And as you create more income, you're just going to increase your investing along with that. And that is going to be the key to becoming a millionaire, not a magic salary.
That's right. And George, again, I talk a lot about this on the Ken Coleman Show, helping people make a big professional decision. And they're kind of, looking for confidence. Clarity. You can be confident in an emergency fund when you get clear on all of your numbers, like you told him to do. Then all of a sudden you go, okay, if this were to happen, I'm good to go. And that's where, again, confidence replaces fear. Absent of information, our mind is powerful. And it will just fill in the gaps. So whether it's in financial, relationship, professional decisions, where I'm not clear, I can tell you I'm not confident.
Man, that's good. It's a great reminder because we talk about doing a budget a lot around here, and it's kind of like, budgets. But when you think about it through the lens of clarity and confidence, man, that changes the game. Now I'm doing a budget because I want to be confident and intentional with every single decision I'm making.
Yeah, absolutely. Gia is up in Lincoln, Nebraska. Gia, how can we help?
Hi, guys. It's a pleasure to talk to you. So I just got a quick... My husband and I just paid off our house last month.
Whoa, way to go.
And we have no other debts. My husband's 30. I'm 25.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow.
And my husband is going to be going back to school in September for HVAC, just to increase his income and find something a little bit more stable. My question is this. We kind of have a lot of goals ahead of us of what we want to do, actually kind of getting to enjoy a little bit of our money because we're still newlyweds. We've been married about 2 years, but we haven't really done a whole lot just because we were trying to get our house paid off and just kind of get that behind us. So we're just trying to figure out what we need to do. We kind of have a checklist of things we want to get done and feel we need to get done. But I know you guys always say to focus with intentionality. So we're just trying to figure out, okay, how do we focus with intentionality? Because we're trying to go 18 directions.
I love it. Well, what a great problem to have. So there's 3 buckets that I think will help you guys figure this out. You have a give bucket, a save bucket, and a spend bucket. And just create goals in each one just for the year ahead. And you can still have a 5-year goal, but just say, for the next 12 months, here's our goals for giving. We want to give this much. Here's the organizations we want to give to. We want to have some spontaneous generosity plan in the budget. On the spend side, we want to make sure we're enjoying this money. Let's plan at least 2 vacations. One person gets to plan one, the other gets to plan the other. We're going to upgrade the car as part of our spending. And the savings goal, we're going to start saving up for another house down the line we want to pay cash for. That makes it really clear, and it keeps you focused and excited.
Okay. And I think our other question is so we, have been following Ramsey. We're working with a finance pro. And so we were looking at doing term life insurance. So our question is, do we really need term life insurance? Like, I understand, the reason for it, and I get it, but we don't have kids. We don't have any payments in the world. Like, if my income left or his income left, we both would be fine in terms of the day-to-day. And then with my job, they give me, I don't know what it's called exactly, but basically they give my husband 2 times my annual salary, basically the day after I die.
Yeah.
And he has right now he's got a whole life plan. We're working on getting that switched.
Ooh.
So I guess better the question is, I know.
I would still get term life in place for both of you, then get rid of the whole life once those are in place. It's honestly so dirt cheap, and it would put you guys in such an incredible position to be able to grieve and not worry about how are we going to put food on the table. Even though you're debt-free, you still have a lot of life expenses, funerals. I mean, there's a lot of stuff you'd have to consider, and having term life in place 10 to 12 times your annual income, 15, 20 years, will put you guys in a much better spot.
It's a no-brainer. It really is. Just get it. It's so affordable. Good stuff, good advice. Thank you so much for the call. Gia, George, good hour.
Fun times.
Man, goes fast when you're having fun. Hey, to you, America, thank you for listening. This is The Ramsey Show.
Hey, George Camel here. If you love the show and you want a deeper dive on your money journey, we've got a weekly newsletter that gives you helpful articles and tips on following the Ramsey way. Just go to RamseySolutions.com today to sign up for the newsletter. Again, that's RamseySolutions.com to sign up for our weekly newsletter.
Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Pods Moving and Storage Studio. This is The Ramsey Show. It's where we talk about your life, your money, your work, and your relationships. I'm Ken Coleman. Joined by George Camel this hour. The phone number is 888-825-5225, 888-825-5225. Let's go to Winchester, Virginia, in Shenandoah Valley area, I believe, George.
Well done. You know your geography.
Well, I'm a Virginian, so I hope I got that right, if I know where Winchester is. Peter is on the line. Peter, how can we help?
Hey, so I'm 14, and I have $8,500 sitting in the bank. I was wondering how much I should invest and if this is a good time to invest.
Wow.
Goodness
How'd you
gracious.
make the $8,500, young Peter?
Well, I am a Little League umpire, and I do a lot of side hustles. Like, I run a lemonade stand in the summer, and a hot chocolate stand in the winter. And so
That's
I just spent a lot of
fantastic.
money.
Brilliant.
How long have you been a Little League umpire?
This is actually my first season. Also, I have very generous grandparents.
Oh, okay. All right.
What do you make being an umpire these days at 14? I'm curious.
I get like $45 a game.
And how old are the kids that are playing in this game?
Oh, they're probably like 9 and 10.
All right, now I got to ask you this because I think people want to hear this. I want you to give me a really strong third strike. All right, so it's a third strike. How do you call it?
Strike 3.
Very nice. Okay. All right. He's got a style. You got
confidence.
Listen, I like that. He didn't go overboard because I would be like, Stiak! Something like that. I think.
You get kicked out of the game.
No, I'm the umpire. I do the kicking out.
Wow.
Yeah, you got to get George. You even know what baseball is, where you call his third strike. All right. Nonetheless, Peter.
Back to Peter's question. You got $8,500. You're doing incredible. You're asking about investing, and right now, the best thing to do is invest in Peter. I know that sounds like a cheap answer, but the truth is you've got a lot of life expenses coming your way in the next 6 years. When you think about, all right, you're going to need to buy a car, right?
Yeah.
Those ain't cheap. You're probably going to have some expenses with further education. You thinking about going to college one day?
Yeah, but my parents do the baby steps, so they have some money saved away for that, but I don't know how much.
Okay. And some living expenses. So the truth is we may have some upcoming expenses in the next 2-3 years that you may want to use this money for. And if it's invested in the stock market, it could be risky because that money could go down 20% when you need it.
Yeah.
So if you want to have some fun with this, you could park some of it in a high yield savings account. Where is it sitting right now?
Oh, it's just in the bank.
Okay.
It is making terrible interest. I should probably have it in.
Don't be depressed.
Peter, first of all, you have
You're
a higher
doing great.
you have a higher net worth than most American adults, so you're doing great. Don't knock yourself. You can put in a high yield savings account, which will get you 4%, and that's a great thing to do. Is you keep stacking cash. Because what if it comes time for you to buy a car in 2 years, and you go, man, I could buy a $12,000 car, $15,000 car. Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah.
And you've got a lot of time to invest. I mean, once you are really working and you've found your career path, whether that's entrepreneur or whatever you find yourself doing, you're going to be investing way more at that point, and that's what's really going to get the power of compound interest going. So if you don't get started for 2-5 years investing, you're still going to be a multi-millionaire when you retire, based on talking to you here. And when that time comes, I want you to utilize all of the tax-advantaged retirement accounts that are out there, which aren't available to you right now. There's something called a custodial Roth IRA that you can work on with your parents to open up for you. There's UTMAs you can look into, and, of course, the 529 plan. So I would put my focus on making sure college is paid for. Beyond that, your future savings goals. Beyond that, you can look into one of those custodial accounts.
Yeah,
Way to
I
go,
love
man.
it. Well, how about the 14-year-old Peter? Huh?
Gosh.
The kid
It feels
is
like I was
he's
talking
thinking
to a
about
grown
his
adult.
future. Yeah, it's really fantastic. He was so down. He's like, well, it's just sitting in the bank.
Making nothing.
Love that kid, man. He wants the compound interest. All right, let's go to Ralph in Houston, Texas. Ralph, how can we help?
Hey, well, it's kind of tough to follow up an all-star like that.
You're doing great.
I think we got a baby on the way.
Congratulations!
In the summer. Very happy. Right now, we're making about $180 a year. We're thinking it's probably time for my wife to stay home. We'll go down to around $140. We're still on baby step 2. We have paid out $38,000 in debt since 2020, but we still owe the big guy. We still owe the student loan, which is about $50K. So I just want to make sure we're making the right decision, having that drop in income, or we have our last consumer debt. After the student loan, we'll only have a mortgage. So I want to make sure we are doing the right thing and just stopping one income and just taking care of the kids and just attacking the student loan on a solo income.
Well, I before we get into all this, it's not a right or wrong. It's preference is the narrative. What do you two prefer?
Well, for the longest time, I was like, we'll send the baby to daycare, no problem, we'll do it. And then the more I crunched the numbers, the more I thought on the stress on her. I was like, you know what, maybe it would be a bigger payoff for her.
So she's making about $40K?
She's making about $40K, yeah.
And so after taxes, we're talking closer to 25, 28?
Yeah, she probably takes home like 25, 26.
Which is probably just above the cost of daycare at this point.
I think our estimated daycare is like $1,600 a month, so it'd be $1,000 a month hit. But that would help us burn up that student loan because we just paid off the final credit card.
But here's the thing, though. What you mentioned was the stress. So you were coming at this from a husband's point of view, and you're going, the stress of her worrying about the baby being in the care of someone else, the normal stress that she goes through with her job, and all of that combined, you were like, I just don't think that's best. And so that's not a wrong decision. That's a great decision because you go, I want what's best for my wife. And in this situation, because we can afford it. Listen, there are a lot of people watching and listening to this show right now, Ralph. They can't afford for the wife to go home. So you're in a really unique situation.
So mathematically, you're going to be fine.
Yeah,
you make
you're gonna be fine.
Even solo, you make well above the average household income. This student loan is gone in under 12 months, regardless of what happens.
Have
correct?
you discussed remote work, though, for her, even part-time remote work?
Yeah, we've talked about it. I listened to some of the other shows and talked about, the type of freelance stuff going on.
Yeah.
So she was thinking about going full remote, but I think her job decided they're not going to go full remote.
Yeah.
That's when I really contemplated, you know what, I think it might be best if we go down to one.
Well, Ralph, here's an easy way to get clarity. Go create an every dollar budget with that scenario. It's just your income. Add in, the new expenses for the baby, and you go, oh, we're going to be fine.
Yeah. And I hope he was referring when he said other shows on the Ramsey Network. I've been talking a lot about the freelance economy. It's as hot as it ever has been. Freelancing opportunities are all over the place. Just look into it. After you do that budget, just see what could she do from home. You may be surprised how it knocks out all that debt just from what she does. Welcome back to the Ramsey Show, where we take your money questions, your work questions, your relationship questions. George Campbell is joining me. I'm Ken Coleman. We are here for you this hour, 888-825-5225, 888-825-5225. George, you got big plans for Valentine's Day? Did you budget for it?
I'm not a night of Valentine's stresses us out.
It's too much.
We kicked it a few days.
How long have you and Whitney been married?
4+ years now.
Yeah, so Stacey and I are coming up on 25 years in May, and I can't remember the last time we actually went out on Valentine's, just because
it feels like a pro move not to go out.
It's
on
a
the
pro
night
move to miss the actual night. It's still the same concept, the thought that counts. But I was
25
just curious.
years.
You're a planner. Oh yeah,
that's impressive.
Well, it's not. It's impressive for Stacey to put up with me that long.
That's the angle I was going with.
Yeah. Okay. Easy play for me. Very difficult play for Stacey. You know this.
Wow.
You've known.
Well,
me.
you guys
How
are
long?
what I consider a power couple.
Oh, is that right?
Two amazing people coming together to
That's
create
very
something
nice.
even more amazing.
That's very nice. Thank you, George. You'll get there soon. It goes fast.
I got 21 to go. I'll never catch up. That's the problem.
Well, it's good stuff. So no Valentine's Day.
No, we're going to be on the road next week in Indianapolis for our Building Wealth event.
This week?
Yeah, so we'll do something relaxed at home, and then we'll celebrate next weekend.
Oh,
we'll
next weekend. Yeah, you're pushing it further.
I do the multiple reservations so that she has options. That's the real pro move.
And the neurotic move. Let's be honest. I like that. All right, very good. Carter's going to join us now as we go back to the phones. He is there in Des Moines, Iowa. Carter, how can we help?
Yeah, thank you for taking my call.
You bet. What's up?
Well, hey, about a year and a half ago, my wife and I purchased, we had our van breakdown. We had a 2007 van, and and it was going to cost more to fix it than we wanted to put into it. It had 230,000 miles. And so we went and bought a nice vehicle. It's a 2018 Chevy Equinox. And we ended up taking payments on it, and I think it was a stupid decision. We both do, but and we took a very high interest rate on it for a 72-month payment period, and we've got about $21,800 left to pay on that 2018 Equinox, and we were getting tired of making payments. They're $450.97 a month, and when we took it back to the dealer to see how much we'd get, they said $14,000, and most other people we've talked to said we can only get $16,000 out of the car. So we're kind of stuck in between. Do we keep the car and just, I guess, make the best of our mistake, or do we try and go about selling it at a loss? It'd be a fairly significant loss. But to be out of debt. So that's what we're trying to figure out.
What other debt do you have?
We do have 2 rental properties, which we have some debt on those, but that's paid for by rental income there. So, but no other personal debt.
Okay. And what's the household income?
Around this year, we should be $75,000 to $80,000.
That includes the rental income?
That does not include the rental income, as we're not making a lot off that at the moment.
Okay. And what's your other car?
Well, we have 2 other vehicles. We have a 2007 Dodge Grand Caravan, and we have a 2006 Chrysler Town & Country that we had bought thinking we were going to sell the Equinox, but we have not been able to sell the Equinox for.
So you don't need 3 cars?
No, we don't.
Okay. So if you sold this one, you don't need to turn around and buy another car.
Correct.
You could just keep the 07 and the 06 for now.
Yep.
And upgrade later. Do you have the cash, the difference, to cover the part you're underwater on?
Yes, it would just be a little tight.
Okay. Well, there's nothing wrong with keeping it and just paying it off. It's not like there's too much of your world tied up in cars. So if you want to pay it off, it sounds like you don't really like the car that much.
Well, it just hasn't provided the practical service for my business as we thought, and it's costing us more than we'd like to pay for it.
Yeah. Well, this is what we would categorize under, stupid tax. If we have to cover the difference, if you feel that pain, it means we'll never do it again. And so there's nothing wrong either way. It'll speed up your debt-free journey, of course, if you go ahead and sell the car and take the hit on it, or you can just pay it off and keep it and sell one of the other cars that you don't need.
Right.
So there's no real right or wrong here. It feels like you're leaning towards wanting this car out of your life, though.
Well, that is what we're leaning towards. It's just we didn't know, would it be worth it? Is that a wise decision to put that much money against it at a loss?
I mean, if you can try to get top dollar for it and keep searching around to where you're less underwater on it, yeah, it'd make you feel better. But at the end of the day, I just did some quick napkin math here, and it looks like that's about what you're going to get is $16,000 max for that thing.
Correct.
So I don't think there's going to be a day when you go, oh, we got 22 for it. We're ahead, unless the used car market goes back up, which, I mean, it's been a wild ride, man. It's already starting to go back up as we speak. So I don't think you're going to get out from under this. The only 2 options are sell it and take the hit, or you just pay it off and keep it.
Yeah. And Carter, I understand what you're feeling, but here's the mental approach on this. It's not how much I'm going to get for it. It's how quickly I get out from underneath the whole thing. So I'd sell it for the 16 now, get as much money as you can, pay it off, and then just move on.
And with that freed up payment of $450, you'll make that money back of just not having to pay that freaking payment when you have 3 cars sitting in the driveway.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Thank you so much for the call. Let's go to Austin, Texas. Dave is there. Dave, how can we help?
Good morning. Give you a quick rundown. I'm almost 70 years old, retired about a year and a half ago. Our Social Security income is the only income that we have. We come up about $500 a month short. so we're having to pull out of our checking savings account to make up the difference to pay the bills. We're trying to keep the quality of life that we've had for the last 40 years, which is not extravagant. It's just that's what it is. My question is whether I should. We owe about 5 more years on our mortgage, just a little over $50,000. We've got about $500,000 in 401k and IRA. Just wondering if I should pull the money out of that and pay the house off.
So that would leave you with $450,000 in retirement?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And it would free up the payment, which was how much on the mortgage?
$1,200 a month.
Ah, okay. So we went from a negative 500 deficit to now have a positive 700?
Well, 500 because 200 is taxes and insurance.
Okay.
So,
but it still puts you in a much better spot to where you're not kind of bleeding out here, and you have no way to create extra income at this point unless you guys go back to work.
Correct.
Yeah. And I would also crunch the numbers on, hey, can we survive off of this 450? You're saying you cannot touch the 450 for a while and just live off Social Security for now?
No. No, I mean, I don't really want to touch it for a while until I have to start taking the government required,
the RMDs on that? Because it's all traditional?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'd pay off that mortgage. Right now, you guys really need to get this payment out of your life just to stay above water. And that $50K is not gonna make enough of an impact to destroy your retirement and destroy your nest egg.
Okay.
But I would be working with a financial advisor to go, hey, what does this look like for the next 25 years?
Right.
And you start to get a picture of that. But I'm getting rid of that house payment, man. That's how I want to retire.
Game changer.
Mm-hmm. $1,200 back in my life. I'm taking it.
Yeah, and again, I know that the condition in our culture is, hey, let's just work, so that we don't have to work anymore. And you know what, take a little time off, but I'd be doing something. And in this case, to make a little bit of extra money, you don't have to work, but do something you enjoy.
You still have skills, hobbies, passions.
Yeah, I don't like this idea of I just work for 60 years and then all of a sudden I'm out. I don't know. I don't think it's good for who we are. I think we're created to work, but hey, who knows? Hey, don't move. He's George Kamel. I'm Ken Coleman, and this is The Ramsey Show. More calls coming up. Welcome back to The Ramsey Show, where we walk you through practical steps for you to move forward in your life, specifically in your money life, in your work life, in your relationships life. I'm Ken Coleman. George Kamel, my Ramsey personality, colleague, and co-host this hour, joins me. 888-825-5225 is the number. I'm the Ramsey work personality, focusing on all things work, whether that's trying to figure out what you want to do, or if you know what you want to do but you don't know how to get there. If you're dealing with toxic coworkers, a really bad boss, all things work-related, helping you win at work so you're winning in life, that's what I do. And on the Ken Coleman Show, which is a part of the Ramsey Network, George, we, as you know, we cover current events and in the world of work. And layoffs are in the news because
all the rage.
It's scary stuff, and the news likes to scare us. That's how they get us to pay attention. And I covered this on the Ken Coleman Show today. Zoom, the wonder kid of the pandemic. Everybody was Zooming. You know, it was like, hey.
How did Skype not get on that?
They missed
the boat, man.
I don't know how Skype missed it. It was like Zoom was kind of new, and a couple of people started talking about it. And so Zoom blew up in a good way. They were the darling of the tech industry because everybody was Zooming, Zoom this, Zoom that, Zoom. And so they went Zoom. Too many Zooms?
So many Zooms.
I feel like I used too many there. Probably three.
Like a Mazda commercial.
Yeah, exactly. Just three too many. But nonetheless, announced that they laid off 1,300 employees, or 15% of its workforce. This is from CEO Eric Wan, announced last week to staff. Now, He went on to say something that I've seen in the news, feels like 9 out of 10 times when we see layoffs announced. Well, we staffed up and we overstaffed. And now the economy's changed, the outlook has changed, and we got to let some people go. I'm really sorry. It's my fault. Now, that's been the general message, and that's what he said as well. He took responsibility, said he was going to show accountability by reducing his salary for the coming fiscal year by 98%, as well as foregoing his 2023 corporate bonus. Members of Zoom's executive leadership team will also jump in and reduce their base salaries by 20% for the year and forfeit their corporate bonuses too. His base salary last year was $301,731, just to give you some context. And he offered support to those that they had to lay off by including up to 16 weeks salary and health care coverage. Now, I'm sure he got criticized because that's what people do. I thought this was a classy move in that saying, you know what, I'm going to penalize myself as well. I'm sure he's made millions of dollars potentially in stock, obviously. But still, it's a good move, but I know he was widely lampooned by people who think, well, you're the rich guy. So I don't know if they want a pound of flesh, a gallon of his own blood. What do they want? What's enough?
I think they really want him to just resign. And
why?
Because they're feeling pain, and therefore everyone needs to feel pain.
Well, believe me, he's feeling pain. His pain is relative to their pain, but he's feeling pain. It's not fun for a CEO to lay off a bunch of people.
But we're seeing this across the board with big tech companies, and the truth is, these are all mostly publicly traded companies. So they're shareholders. And so at the end of the day, like it or not, that's how this runs, is you got to keep the shareholders happy at the end of the day.
Disney did it. Disney laid off 7,000 workers last week. You're probably following this story. I know you're a big Disney guy.
I saw you talk about it on the Ken Coleman Show.
Well, thank you, George.
Moments
Thank you for watching. Bob Iger, former CEO, comes back and announces a restructure, lays off 7,000 people, and pointedly says in his press release, we've got to cut costs and fix the stock price. And after hours trading, the stock price jumps. And again, this is what you will be at a large public company. You will be a number on a spreadsheet because Disney's obviously struggling from a business standpoint, but they're not going to have problems keeping things open. But I'll tell you the lesson about Disney that I'm going to take this away from big corporate news, and I'm going to give a quick lesson about authenticity and winning in your professional life. When Disney stopped being about kids having fun and Fantasyland and all the wonderful smiles and parents being happy because kiddos are happy, and they started getting involved in pushing the social agendas, when ESPN stopped talking about sports and started getting into things outside of sports, their numbers are hurting. I'm not saying they're right or wrong for doing it. I'm simply saying the business case is stick to who you are as a business. Don't try to be cute with who you are as a person. Who are you authentically? Who are you as a business, and trying to get cool, trying to follow the waves of culture. You'll get burned is my point. That's the bigger lesson.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Well, even from this Zoom story, their stock jumped 10% after the layoff news.
Well, of course, because the investors say, yay, you cut expenses. But what about all those people? I appreciate the 16 weeks of salary.
Yeah.
And the healthcare extension.
Did you see Google's layoffs? Their perks, I mean, when they left, I was like, these people could retire today. Just off of those.
But that was still, as you know,
wow.
Google just laying people off.
The way they
in the
did it
middle of the
was
night.
not
ridiculous.
Cool. So a lot of leadership lessons to be learned here.
Be careful.
Oof.
All right, let's go to New York City. Miranda is there. Miranda, how can we help?
Hi, how are you?
We're having a blast. What's going on with you?
So I'm a new listener to Dave Ramsey, and I just started listening to the radio show here just to kind of, he's my financial guru helping me get out of debt.
All right.
And I have a little bit of a unique situation. So I have about $47,000 in debt, which is all fertility debt that me and my husband, happily, I'm about 5.5 months pregnant now.
Oh,
we
good.
accumulated. And some of it is on zero interest credit cards. And one debt is an 11% fertility loan. But the unique thing is, when we first began this journey, I had money that was tied up overseas in Europe, and since then I was able to untie that money up. So I have about $151,000 saved.
Wow.
So my husband said, "You're crazy. Pay off your debt." And I feel that I just got that money back, so I'm hesitant to do so. When I'm listening to Dave, he does the debt snowball. List your debts, smallest to largest, and, kind of work through the debt snowball. So I had wanted to work my debt snowball. And, my husband thinks that's crazy when I have the money sitting in a bank earning, 3.3% interest. We're both professional people here in New York. I would say our household income is about $66,000. We have a home that we purchased, and we're currently renovating it. We're cash flowing the renovation. We do have a mortgage because in the tri-state New York area, you cannot purchase a home without a mortgage. And our goal is really just to kind of, pay down the fertility debt. So based on what I'm telling you, I just wanted to know what Dave's advice would be based on, his plan.
What other debt do you have outside of the medical debt?
That's it.
So
That's
Miranda,
it's fertility debt, and then a mortgage, which we have about $390,000 left on.
So Miranda, George is going to tell you what Dave would say because George says it just like Dave, just a little bit different. But I'm just really curious, very quickly, what is scaring you about using some of that money you just got sent back over to you? Because I think this is fear-based. I think you're reluctant to let go of it for some fear-based reason. Am I right?
Yes.
What are you afraid of?
I'm afraid with the baby coming, and when I go out on maternity leave, I will not have an income. And, children are expensive, and I'm afraid, you were just talking about layoffs, and God forbid my husband loses his job, and, my income.
All right, well, let me get George in here real quick to
Miranda,
address what you need to do.
Pay off the debt today, and you'll never look back. You won't regret it. You still have 6 figures sitting there.
Still.
Kids aren't $100,000 a year expense. So just lay it out in the budget. It'll become a line item, and you'll be just fine. You have so much money, and once baby's here and healthy and happy and you've got the budget figured out, let's throw the rest at the house outside of a 6-month emergency fund, and you'll be sleeping a lot better at night. Congrats on the baby.
Your husband needs to hear this because very few husbands hear this. Honey, you were right. Tell him that today and pay it off. Thank you for the call. Congrats on the little one. This is The Ramsey Show. Welcome back to The Ramsey Show. I'm Ken Coleman, joined by George Kimmel. The phone number to jump in is 888-825-5225. Our scripture of the day comes from Matthew 5, verse 16. In the same way, let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father who is in heaven. Our quote of the day from Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. George, do you even know who that is?
Absolutely.
What? Tell me about Kareem.
One of the greatest basketball players of all time.
Wow. He is growing, folks, right here before our very eyes.
It's only because I've seen Space Jam too many times.
That's true. The quote from Kareem, I think the good and the great are only separated by the willingness to sacrifice. He's a deep thinker, played for the great John Wooden. Fantastic stuff. Hey, George, prices on everything seem to be continuing to, we hear a little bit about it slowing down, inflation slowing down, but it doesn't feel like it, does it?
No.
And we're here to help figure it all out. We are getting back on the road again this week. Building Wealth Live, coming back to a city near you, Indianapolis, this week, Thursday, February 16th. That's Thursday night, February 16th. Dave Ramsey, George Camel, Rachel Cruz, and Jade Warshaw. And then the following week, February 23rd, Dave Ramsey, myself, John Deloney, Jade Warshaw in Austin. On April the 24th in Salt Lake City, Dave, Rachel, Christina, and George. And then the final stop, May 2nd, Anaheim, California. Dave, myself, John Deloney, and Christina Ellis. Tickets start at $49. And it says here that Indianapolis is almost sold out.
I believe it.
It feels like you just need to do one Instagram post, George.
That's all it takes.
And it'll just go.
Well, here's the thing. We do these events, and then the next day after, they'll go, when you coming to Indianapolis? I'm like, we were just there.
Yeah.
Where have you been?
It's a big world, George.
Pay attention, folks.
All right, so to get your seat for only $49, RamseySolutions.com/events. RamseySolutions.com/events. There you go. All right, New York City again. Love going back to the Big Apple. Casey is there. Casey, how can we help?
Hey, George. Thanks, Ken, for answering my call. I do 100% agree with that quote from Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Yeah.
My question, I'm having a bit of anxiety in making this decision. My wife and I are both career employees in the healthcare industry. We live in New York, high taxes, a little bit of a toxicity in the workplace. We made about $300K in the last 2 years. We're looking to move down to Georgia. However, the pay difference is huge and significant.
How much
we're
different?
looking to take almost $100K paycheck for a household. Not sure if it's the right move or not.
100,000 pay cut? So you'll be going to 200,000 a year?
Correct.
Okay.
And where in Georgia? Because I lived in Georgia for 11 years. I'm somewhat familiar. What area?
It will be in around the Gwinnett County area.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, that's the county that I lived in, Gwinnett County. So doing the same type of work?
Doing the same type of work, correct.
Okay, but each of you making significantly less. Have you looked at the cost of living there? Have you looked at homes, rent, mortgage, the whole nine yards?
Yes, those definitely Georgia pans out a bit better than, of course, New York. So those have not been factored. Just looking at salary numbers, that is what it's costing the insanity.
So if you adjust everything, and George, I want you to jump in here, on the cost of living. I mean, your expenses are going to go down, I would guess, pretty significantly, yes?
Yes.
All right. Do you own a home in New York now?
We do.
And what would you make if you sell that house?
Currently, about $350 left on the mortgage. We'll make about $575 if we sold it. That's what the agent is saying it will possibly sell for. We were also looking at the option of possibly just renting it until at least the first year until we settle down there.
I wouldn't recommend that because that's a headache for you.
Long distance landlord while you're trying to settle into Georgia is going to be a tough one, man.
Well,
I'd sell that. And you need the equity if you're going to be.
Yeah.
I would just sell it and just park that money, rent for a year, get used to the area, and then you'll know where you want to live.
What size house, what price range are you looking at in Gwinnett County?
With 4 kids, we're looking at roughly a 4 to 5 bedroom.
Yeah. How many square feet, though?
Something small, not big, less than 3,000.
Yeah. I'm going to look that up, George, while you give him some advice, because I think it's a good move.
To put some real numbers on this, we have an incredible cost of living calculator that you can get on our website, and I'll have the team put that in the show notes as well as the YouTube description. But it will break down exactly how much you need to make going from New York to the Atlanta area, and you can even adjust the housing, utilities, food, transportation, healthcare, lifestyle, all of those costs, and it will tell you exactly what you'll need to live. But I'll tell you, just based on the numbers you're sharing with me, you can have a great life in Georgia making $200,000. But emotionally, it feels like you're taking a huge step back because you're losing $100,000, which feels crazy. But remember, if you move from Georgia to New York, you'd need to make another $100,000. And so it goes both ways. It just hurts because you're moving backwards on paper, but you're really not.
All right, just to give you one idea here, George, just to give you some numbers. I love doing this real time. This is just one house. This is a very nice looking house. 4-bed, 3-bath, 2,783 square feet in Grayson, Georgia. And I can tell you there's good school systems there. I'm telling you, I know this, my
where
man.
You're going. You're
Oh,
like
is that
a
right?
prophet.
Oh, that's crazy that
Ken nailed it.
I can't believe I just got lucky.
What's the
on
cost?
That. $439,000.
God bless the South.
So
That's all I got to say.
So if he sells his house, he makes $575. They pay it off. He could put a really nice down payment on that, And you can really run those numbers and see what that looks like.
You're going to be in great shape. Because think about it. Your mortgage is going to be way less. Your cost of living is going to be way less. Everything is going to shrink down. And so another thing you got to do is we'll send you Every Dollar Premium, our budgeting tool, and start to lay out these numbers and lay out some different scenarios and go, all right, our income is $200,000. Here's what the numbers could be. Here's our limits. Here's what we're going to have to adjust. Here's the sacrifices we might have to make. Or you might find, wow, we got more wiggle room than ever before. And we're going to pay off this house within a few years. And our incomes are only going to go up. And so I want you to be optimistic about this move. I personally feel great about it.
Awesome. Quick last question is, would you recommend rent for a year, then buy, or go ahead and buy when you're down there?
Well, I would, if you're going to buy, you better be making at least a trip or two to the area, get to know the areas, and really feel it out. Otherwise, I'm just going to rent a house for a year. It's going to hurt because you're paying rent when you have a pile of money, but you're going to move with a lot of peace and wisdom when you go to buy that house. Instead of, we bought a house, we weren't really doing our research, now we want to move again.
Yep.
That's a pain.
Casey, I will tell you, when I moved from Gwinnett County, a little place called Sewanee, Georgia, back up here to work for Dave in 2014, we rented for 2 years. And we did it because the first year we were guaranteed, we're going to just get a lay of the land, figure out where we want to drop our roots here in the area. Well, year one got, close and we're like, we're not ready to buy financially. So we took another year, and it's the best decision we ever made to rent for 2 years. So either way, George is right. You better spend a lot of time in Gwinnett County, all over Realtor.com, which is what I just did, and you can get a real good idea.
And work with a real good real estate pro. You can find that at RamseySolutions.com as well. They're called endorsed local providers. These are real pros that we trust. They sell hundreds of homes a year. It's not your brother-in-law who just got his license. And they'll be able to help you find the right place. They know the area and help you get a good deal.
But, George, there's just something about 12 months in a place. You're going to get a real feel for the place.
I want to know where my favorite restaurants are, where the grocery stores are.
Yeah, and you don't know that no matter how many weekends you go down to visit. That's a very, very good point. And I love the idea of renting.
Yeah.
And he's going to stack that cash. And you never know what the real estate market's going to do. You just don't know.
That's true.
So what are you hearing about real estate? You got a real estate reality check?
It's a little bit dry out there for the folks because of interest rates. And so I think once we see the Fed bring the interest rates back down, even a touch, people will get frenzied again and get excited, and we're going to see real estate tick back up. But as far as home values, the crash ain't coming, folks. It's just not happening. It's just cooling down for a little bit.
Yeah, all right.
That's my hot take.
So if you're ready, buy is what I'm hearing from George Campbell.
That's my advice always. Yeah. Don't time the market. When you're ready, go for it.
I love it. Good stuff. Always fun to be with you, my friend.
You too.
Thank you, sir, for a great hour. Hey, I want to thank James and the entire team behind the glass for keeping us on. And to you, America, thank you for listening. This is your show. This is The Ramsey Show. Hey, it's Ken. If you like what you heard in this episode and want to know more about getting started on the Ramsey baby steps, go to RamseySolutions.com and click on the Get Started button. We'll help you figure out the best next step for you based on your specific situation. Again, that's RamseySolutions.com and click Get Started.